talking to David Shephard, and we're actually at his wonderful offices in Chiswick Park, which is in London. And so if you haven't been here before, you must come out and see David Shephard. Hi David, how are you?
How are you doing?
It's great to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Really happy, and thank you so much for giving us the interview, because I know that you're really busy. He's a very busy guy. So that's good. So my idea for this interview was just to get to know you personally a bit better. You have a very important title. You're president of the American NLP board, right?
American Board of NLP.
American Board of NLP.
Yeah.
So David is a great guy to know. And if you know anything about timeline therapy, then you'll probably already know who David is. Actually, I was in Cambridge the other day, and I met some friends for drinks, and I was outside, and I ended up speaking to a guy, and he was like, we got talking and stuff, and he's like, can I see your card? And I was like, okay, here. He's like, what do you do? And I told him. And then he gave me his card, and he's like, bam, you know, he's like, I trained in Las Vegas with Tad James.
Oh, really?
And I thought, small world, we're in Cambridge, right?
Yeah.
You know, me living in Las Vegas, so, you know, it's incredible. And so I happened to mention to him that I was going to interview you next week, and he was like, oh yes, I know David Shephard and all of this.
I'm infamous.
So you're very well known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly in the the personal development world,
Yeah.
NLP training world, those kind of things. Because I've been doing it for quite a while now.
Yeah, how long have you been doing it, David?
I first trained in NLP in May 1993.
Oh yeah, that's quite a while ago. Yeah.
And formed the Performance Partnership, my company, during my practitioner training.
Oh God.
So I phoned
How
up.
come? How did you have the get up and go to do it? I mean, that's a big task, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd been into NLP for quite a while. So
Okay.
I got into NLP first, I think, probably in about 1990.
Okay.
When I set up my own business, my own management consultancy business.
Yeah.
And I went on a training course to learn how to become a management consultant. And there was one day it was on NLP, and I'd never heard of it before.
Right,
I thought,
right.
wow, this is fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
So I spoke to the trainer. I said, are there any books I can get on this? And predominantly at the time, then there was only really two mainstream books.
Oh, what were they?
And one was Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins.
Oh God, that's a good book, isn't it?
So I bought
Love that book.
Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins, absolutely loved it, and thought, yeah, NLP's where it's at. So I started doing some coaching work, and also started doing some NLP sales trainings.
Oh, good, yeah.
And then in 1993, I decided I'd better be trained in NLP.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
I hadn't trained in NLP at this point in time.
Yeah.
I'd done the books.
Which a lot of people have
Yeah,
actually,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
are still out there
Yeah.
coaching and doing things in NLP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I looked around in the UK for trainings, and they were all 20 days long.
Oh God, that's so much time.
Which I just couldn't afford to take that much time out of our business. So I looked around and I found Tad James.
Oh yeah.
And so that did mean I had to fly to California to do the training. What a shame.
Yeah. Holiday and training, right? Who can beat it?
Yeah. So I did the 7-day practitioner training, and loved it so much that I thought, right, I'm going to stop doing everything else that I'm doing, and I'm going to set up an NLP training company.
Yeah.
So I went to Tad part of the way through the training and said, okay, I want to bring your products to the UK.
Awesome.
What do I have to do?
Yeah.
And nobody had ever asked him that before. So
Right,
he said,
exactly.
I'll get back to you.
And it's a simple question just to ask, right?
Yeah.
I love it, David.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, yeah.
So there I was on my practitioner training, and Ted said, okay, you're going to have to become a master trainer of NLP, you're going to have to train in timeline therapy, you're going to have to come in hypnosis, you're going to have to come over, do my trainings in Hawaii now. So, that's even worse. Started out with Los Angeles, then to Kona in Hawaii. I set a goal in my practitioner training to be a trainer of NLP within a year.
Oh, wow.
And almost to the day, I was certified as a trainer of NLP. And then 2 years after that, I was certified as a master trainer of NLP.
Oh, wow.
Which is, I think, is probably about the shortest time anybody's ever successfully done it.
Yeah, because it's a big accomplishment, isn't it, to be a master trainer of NLP.
And then as a result of doing that,
a reputation in it, though. Even in the 2 years.
it's hard work.
Yeah, hard work.
I put a lot of effort into it, a lot of focus. Then as a result of getting that, I actually started to work with Tad. So I trained with Tad. So I trained with him
What were you doing?
I was training on his master practitioner training. We were doing trainers training together, and then also started training on his Huna trainers as well. So it's a bit strange, really. This lad from Mansfield, which is like north of here, about 140, 150 miles north of here, winds up. I think I've been to Hawaii around about 40 times.
Wow, really, David?
Yeah, because I was going about 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And I'd always wanted to go to Hawaii because when I was a kid I was an Elvis fan.
And it's so far from here, isn't it?
It's a long way from here.
Yeah.
And so I saw Hawaii in the Elvis movies.
Oh,
You know,
yes,
thought,
it's a lovely
would I ever go?
Yeah.
And then I ended up going 40 times.
You'd never imagine it, would you? And there you are.
Yeah.
I used to love those old Elvis movies too.
So,
yeah.
So yeah, that's how I got started.
That's awesome.
And then obviously I still know Tad. I still go and speak at the American Board of Hypnotherapy conference.
Yeah,
again this February.
You're going. What's the actual date for that? The ABH, American Board of Hypnotherapy,
I think it's
right?
the first weekend in February. Is it the 4th and 5th?
I think so. I'm sure if any of our viewers really want to know, you could Google it. ABH, American Board of Hypnotherapy, 2009, and that's actually Tad James' organization. So yes, and also you can. What's your website information?
Our website's www.performancepartnership.com.
And David is actually stationed in Chiswick Park, which is London. So, David, can I talk a little bit about Huna? Because I don't know that much about it, but I really find it fascinating. I listened to Tad James' introduction to Huna, I think it was, and I found it really interesting. I was actually, honestly, floored by him and Adriana, they're singing.
They're chanting, yeah.
They're chanting.
Yeah.
They put so much passion into it. I thought, God, they really love doing this. And I know that they're incorporating it into more and more of their training.
That's right.
Obviously, you can't speak for them. But can you tell us a little bit more about Huna?
Yeah, I mean, it's the ancient teachings of the people of Hawaii.
Yes.
So it's a shamanic tradition, a magical tradition, a spiritual tradition. And there's shamanic and magical traditions everywhere everywhere you go on the planet.
It's getting quite popular now, isn't it?
Yeah. And everywhere had its own version. The rather unique thing about Huna is that because of the geographical remoteness of Hawaii, the missionaries didn't arrive until 1820, which isn't really that long ago in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
When they arrived, they made the practice of Huna, the dancing, the hula, and chanting illegal because they said it was against against the Christian religion.
Yeah.
And they said that these people were very lewd and crude because they were wandering around with not very many clothes on.
Oh, right.
I mean,
Indigenous people.
The temperature was in the 90s, they were really humid,
Yeah, I understand.
And that happened pretty much everywhere around the planet. Where the missionaries went, they made the local teaching, magical teaching, or esoteric traditions illegal. And that started something like 2,000 years ago.
Okay.
So in
order to sort of convert to Christianity, was it something like that?
Yeah. And so a lot of other places on the planet, their esoteric teaching disappeared a long time ago. But in Hawaii, it's still fairly recent. So although it was made illegal, it went underground.
Yes.
And the chants were carried on, handed down from parent to child. And from then translating the chants, you can actually find out the original teachings of Hawaii. And one of the first people who did that.
Kind of like oral storytelling, is it something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they didn't actually have a written language.
Yeah.
So everything was taught orally and held in the chant. And the Hawaiian language is an interesting language because there's less letters in it than the English language, for instance. So words have to work harder. So words have multiple meanings, but also they have an esoteric or a hidden or a huna meaning. Probably the first person